Hi, we're here. I don't know how to fix my camera thing. I think it has to do with the whole new problem I'm having here.
Oh, poor Jen.
Oh, it's not. I don't mind. I feel like I'm distorted. I look distorted. Something is very awry with the camera situation, but that's okay.
Well, hopefully everything looks okay on my end.
I'm going to see what happens if I do something here and see what happens.
You'll end up doing something and then you'll disappear again.
All right. Well, I don't want to disappear, but I'm definitely distorted. So hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night, Generational Change. I'm Jen.
I'm Peter.
We're late.
You're telling me I'm late?
I said we're late.
Oh, we're late. Yes, we are late.
We're both late, and I'm distorted.
Well, does everything sound okay? I think that's important.
I think everybody do. Yeah, I think. Yeah, see, I'm thinner than normal. Well, maybe I don't mind being distorted.
All the more reason for you to just be content exactly with where you are. But why let the party be delayed any further? Today we have a special guest who
he has to leave at 8. So
yeah, he's one of our resident guests, as I like to say. One of those people that, when you have to call in to Jen, you're gone again. You're messing with it.
I'm trying to fix it. Just keep going. And Steve knows
okay, so in about 2 minutes, it'll just be Steve and I, which is fine because Steve and I are going to do a.
Just please, just bring him in.
You know him from the Real Progressives. You know him, you love him. Steve Grumbine, as always, welcome back to Generational Change.
Hello.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hello.
Wait, where's the Ozempic? I miss it. No, I'm joking. You look great, normal. You did good. You changed it back. You're back to norm.
Back to normal. It was, you know what? I just switched the definition, but everything had to be reset. Guys, we're sorry we're late. Peter's in LA, so he's on Pacific time. And I'm like in a shit show here in the studio. So it's all good. We're here.
Remember, the links are in the description for Steve. And this is, it's interesting. We come every show that we do now, and we are growing, which is great. There's like 1,001 things that we could talk about in terms of what's going on right now. But Jen, since obviously you've had a lot going on today, and I know that there are some topics of discussion that you really want to get to, where would you like to start? Because we can clearly start with the story about.
I don't care. I mean, I don't care. Where did you want to start? I mean, the things I definitely want to talk about are the things I want to talk about, but I don't care what order we go in.
Well, I feel like because Steve is wearing glasses today, that this could be an even more intelligent conversation than it normally is.
And let me add to this. I can't see without him anymore. I got to the point where I couldn't do the squinty thing anymore. So it's like, and at work, I'm typically doing this because the lower area, which is the zoom, is better than the regular area. So I'm like this. I mean, if I could do this all the time, I'd be happy, but it's gotten bad. I'm old and crusty. How
do you feel with the glasses? Do you feel that your vision is stronger now?
I feel a million times, but I can see, right? I mean, seriously, like there's nothing worse than trying to read your weed bag to figure out what the terpenes are. And it's down there in that like type 1 font. And you're like, I don't know if I got the good stuff or the friggin' crappy daytime sativa. I don't know what I got here. What's going on? So
not the sativa people. All right. There's no need to be sativa, anti-sativa.
I'm all about the indica, man. It's about the one toke done. I need to be out like a light.
Someone would like to actually exist high.
I can't do it, man. I want to. I miss those days, but I'm just a guy that goes to sleep on the dubage. That's it.
Abby Doobie. Well,
yeah.
I obviously, since time is of the essence, we know why our audience is here, so we might as well have a little bit of fun. As you know, we have been very fortunate. Our channel is growing. at a rate that I don't think Jen and I ever thought was going to happen, but we're glad that it is. And right now we've got 125 of you watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's get this out there. We were over 200 last show. Let's get to 250 today if we're lucky. We have a very special guest. You know, Steve brings his people. We're bringing our people. We're doing a good job here. For those of you who have been paying attention, I don't want to delay this in any way. I want Jen to really get into this because I think that this is a very important person to bury where he stands. You know, for the longest time, Jen and I would come on. No, not you. You're fine. Yeah, for now, you're okay for now. So for the longest time, when Jen and I would do the show, especially when we were together, we would always come on and have a little bit of a fun intro. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
And those days have ended, and they've been over for over a year because of Jerry Seinfeld. And Mr. Seinfeld, who is unabashedly pro-Israel, is also unabashedly anti-Palestine in the worst kind of way.
He's a pig. He's a pig.
Yeah.
He's retroactively ruined like my all-time favorite show for me. Like, that's how I feel. Now, the only thing I say in consolation of that is that it really was Larry David, who very well might be in the same spot thinking as Jerry Seinfeld, for all I know, but I don't see him doing shit like this.
No.
But I cannot, like, we no longer have Festivus. Festivus has been canceled. I cannot do anything having to do with Seinfeld. I can't even put it on.
No, it's a level of disgust that I don't think most people can understand.
Have you seen this clip, Steve? Have you seen this clip of Jerry?
Oh yeah, the laughing hysterically as he gets in the car. Oh, it's horrible. Horrible.
But it's actually good, and I'll tell you why. Because if you pay close attention, this got to him. He was very pissed off.
Fuck you, Jerry Seinfeld. Free Palestine. You support the genocide of babies in Gaza. Free
Only
Palestine.
You know that he heard that. And every time he hears it, and I guarantee you he's probably heard it more times than people are willing to admit right now, he's getting tracked down and people are calling him out and he doesn't like it. Well, you know what? You are not entitled to live in your billionaire bubble. And no one is ever going to forget that not only did you support Israel, but you supported a genocide, like full stop. Like, he is totally on board with it. I mean, he went to, what do they call those camps, Jen?
Well, they're like, it's like Klan camp to me, but, they go and teach them how to be hateful with weapons. Well, just let it play and just let him finish being his disgusting self. By the way, his veneers are horrible. I wish somebody would punch him right in those veneers. All right, continue.
Free Palestine. Fuck you, Jerry Seinfeld. You support the genocide of Palestinian children. You rabid fucking dog. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
I'm just so disgusted. Just get rid of that. Go away. I can't. Disgusting. And
So-
it just disgusts me. And I will also say another, on a positive note with heckling, is I don't know if you've been following, but Gal Gadot has been trying to film in London and they have had to substitute
Shut
her.
it down.
They've had to shut it down. They cannot film because people will not stop screaming at her and waving Palestinian flags. And so it is completely affecting their filming.
Thank God.
I want to punch Jerry Seinfeld in the face. Like, I kind of do.
Yeah.
I kind of
Steve, you agree that he as much as he was grinning from ear to ear like the shitbag that he is, he was clearly bothered by that heckling. Like, it got to him. If it didn't get to him, he wouldn't react.
He wouldn't react at all. He'd just get right in the car and say, and keep on going. But he's definitely, but I don't think it got to him in the way that you want it to get to him. I don't think he has a conscience at all.
I don't either.
I don't think a Zionist is capable of human behavior. I think that they are literally the most evil form of life out there. And when you see the way he behaves in general, the idea that you can literally see people in tents being melted to death and him not have a problem with it. It says everything you need to know about him and his child bride and everything else that he's done. He's a disgraceful, disgusting human being.
He did date, yeah, but that's not who he married. But yes, he did.
Whatever.
No, no,
He's
I'm answering the
pedophile.
Yeah, it's gross. It's skeevy.
Pedo.
I mean, I
Pedo
can
boy.
remember it. Her name was Shoshana Lonstein, and I remember it very well because I was in grade school at the time. And this was when, for me, I didn't get Seinfeld until I was a senior in high school. It was the last season that I actually was able to actually enjoy it. Ironically enough, the car dealership episode where George, Jason is featured prominently in it with the candy, with the twins. That was all Jason Alexander. And in a way, it really had nothing to do with.
I still like that. I would, but I just, the whole thing is ruined for me.
Hey, guys out there, if you're looking for a task, let's put some Seinfeld episodes together in which Jerry doesn't appear. Like he doesn't have anything to do with the episode. In fact, some of the better episodes in the early seasons was when it was just Kramer and George. They had some really great adventures together. And
he's the least funny person on that show. He always was the least funny person on that show.
Of course, and that's.
But it's still his show. Like I can't now.
Steve, you know what it was for me when I would, because my parents really liked Seinfeld, and there was one thing in particular that always stood out for me as a grade school kid. I could not get past Seinfeld with that freaking smirk on his face. It came off as such a even as a kid, I'm looking at this guy like, who does this guy think he is with that smug, arrogant? Little did I know just how smug and arrogant the guy actually was. And today, he's just as bad, if not worse, than he's ever been. He embraces like this villain role of I'm Yisrael High in the worst kind of way.
Yeah, I look at this. I mean, let's be fair though, right? He is just the same as the cry bullies at that university when Norm Finkelstein shut him down. He's just the same. He's no different. The only difference is the number of zeros next to his bank account, right? That's the only thing that differentiates him. He's just another genocidal piece of shit, right? Let's be fair. I mean, there's no need in
ruin Seinfeld for me. The other genocidal pieces that don't make it so that at night I don't even want to put it on the TV.
Well,
yeah.
It is unfortunate. And this is just what I think is going to be the great lesson here that we will find out. I want to believe in the not too distant future that when things start to settle, how are people going to react when he thinks he's just going to be accepted into polite society, when people really start to dissect what's been going on in Gaza and the Middle East in general? I want to get to a point where they should just be cast out like lepers.
It's starting. Not in this country, mind you, but around the world it is. A lot of the people in the world are not letting them in their establishments.
As they should.
You've got some folks in the chat, and I'm reading this, and I'm baffled that there are that many Nazis in the chat. Like there's this one Nazi in there literally saying, I hate end Islamist settler colonial. It's just literally going back and forth.
Oh, wait, you mean Greg Eddy? Oh, let him talk. Let him
but it's just shocking. It's like I'm wondering if he reminds me of Goebbels, man. He reminds me of Goebbels. But absolutely Goebbels.
Before, I saw somebody in our chat giving a troll alert that there was a Zio in our chat.
Well, there's several. CWD is an absolute Nazi. I mean, there's a few of them. It's shocking.
But here's what you have to remember, and this is the key ingredient.
Algorithm.
So let's put it this way, Steve, and this is what I think most people should understand. There's 218 live viewers of this stream right now. Now, it is unfortunate because the Zionists always stick out because of the incendiary language that they use when they want to communicate with people. But you know what? Out of 215, 220, if 2 or 3 people are in favor of Israel and the other 215 are in favor of Palestine, that's probably a reflection of where the overwhelming majority of people are right now.
I agree with you 100%.
So for those of you who are going off in the chat right now about how much you are on Israel High, okay, go ahead. You are going to be backed into such a corner at some point. It's going to be like Crystal knocked all over again, where you're going to be wearing patches. Everyone's going to know who you are.
So keep bring it, bitches. Roger Waters is an anti-Semite. Yeah, I don't think so.
Roger Waters is a hero.
Roger Waters is a hero.
As he should be. Guys,
anyway, point in case, don't give him any more airtime, right?
Right.
No, we do not need to give them any more airtime. You know who we are going to give airtime to, though? Somebody who I think Jen and I have I think we've always held in high regard. And by the way, for those of you who are here, please, if you are so inclined, go over to patreon.com/generational change. For as little as $5 a month, you could become a supporter of our small but mighty channel. Now, if we want to flip the ball in the other direction, which I think we all would like to do, there are a lot of good people that are out there that are part of the Jewish community, the affluent Jewish community, that are speaking out against this, and have, not that they're just some Johnny come lately and they woke up to this event recently. Ben Cohen of Ben and Jerry's has been a guest on our podcast. He was on our show, let's say it was like 2 or 3 months ago. And he was adamant about, commending Jen and along with himself, being members of the Jewish community who firmly stand on the side of the Palestinians. And so he decided to get into the middle of my speech in the Senate floor yesterday, and this is what happened.
I'm presenting today supports these goals and reflects.
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be tolerated. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
And you see that gentleman wearing that hat right there?
Yeah, who's that?
So I know him personally. I'm not going to say who it is. He is somebody who supports RFK in a big way. He's one of those guys that doesn't believe in vaccines. Had good conversations with him. He's not a bad guy. He didn't make any gestures towards Ben when he was being pulled out of there. There's a lot of people that support RFK and support the Maha movement that are not on board with Israel. And one of the things that I think is very important to mention here, because one of those Democratic establishment groups, Steve, Occupy Democrats, I'm sure you've heard of them. So they issued a statement regarding why Ben Cohen of Ben and Jerry's was dragged out of the Senate hearing of HHS the other day. There was no mention whatsoever that it was about protesting Gaza and the genocide.
No.
They glossed over it and said he was there to protest RFK, which of course is not true. That's not why he was there. But leave it to the Democrats, as you know, to continue to bury themselves right where they stand. And and what should probably come as no surprise, I doubt that Ben Cohen identified himself when he got there, and that's why they forcibly, aggressively dragged him out of there and didn't care if they hurt him or not. And good, he shouldn't have to announce. Let people see just how was there, and playing devil's advocate here. Is there any reason to believe that if they were politely escorting him out, that he wouldn't have left, that they could have got him out of there instead of, no, let's get rough. That's better.
No, he would have gone. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the whole thing is intimidation. That's the whole thing. They're trying to intimidate. Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what they're discussing. I don't care who's testifying. Everything is shut down until we deal with what we have to deal with. Like, there is no business as usual with this genocide going on. I don't understand how anybody is going around like business as usual. And the last thing that we can allow to happen is just business as usual. So I think every single thing that can be shut down should be shut down. I don't even care if it doesn't have to be related. It can be completely unrelated. I don't care what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, no justice, no peace. It's that.
I'm there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, think about, I'm going to say this, and I'm really proud. Let me just say this. I'm really, really proud of Christopher Hedges. Christopher Hedges recently came out and he was asked, what do you think about this democracy? And he goes, democracy?
Democracy?
What democracy?
We don't have a democracy. He goes, we have a corporatist group that supports this stability thing for global investment, blah, blah, blah. They don't give a rat's ass about anyone. There's nothing to do with democracy there. Now, with the Democrats. And he said, and these guys over here, appeal to the oligarchs. Neither of these folks, none of this is a democracy. None of it is a democracy. So to me, literally, that is the fountainhead. That is where the water begins. We don't have a democracy. Anything past that jumps back here and says, oh, we have a democracy, I don't even hear it anymore. No. This is where it starts right there. We have no democracy. So this performative shit there in the Capitol playing politics, to me, is more kayfabe bullshit. And, you know, I got to be on a socialist podcast a legitimate communist podcast called Pulse Pod. And we talked to them at length. And it was I realized I was with my tribe at that moment, because there was no pretense that we can vote our way out. There was no pretense about the Democrats being kind of better, or, hey, look at the Republicans. There was no pretense whatsoever. I got to unmask. I got to stop pretending like electoralism is real. I got to be my true person, unalienated from reality, and talk about the legitimacy or the illegitimacy of the very framework that keeps us trapped and barking like seals, circus seals, when we see stuff like this. And when I see guys like RFK Jr., and I see the people that support him, I realize how lost we are. We're not just talking about, RFK Jr. We're talking about the entire apparatus of the political spectrum. And Chris Hedges, I don't remember the guy's show, unfortunately. I just know Tiberius, Eco-Marxy, out there on Twitter land, shared this thing. And I swear on my life, when you hear Chris Hedges say it, I think that little teeny clip should be shared 24/7 by 365 to every single Bernie crowd out there, to every single Seinfeld lover, to every single anybody. Everybody should see this and start really processing, because the reason why you're not seeing the kind of shut it all down is because there are pathetic children that are older than 21, that are older than 30, that are older than 40, that are still thinking they're going to get a lump of coal in their stocking if Santa Claus hears them. They're still believing in tooth fairy stuff, and they're literally behaving that way, and they're killing every one of us with this placating of the facade of electoralism. So when we talk about shutting it down, you got my attention. But when you realize that these people think they're going to shut it down by voting, they're going to do these things, this is a huge disconnect. The kind of behavior that you're looking to see, the kind of real behavior that would stop a genocide in Gaza, right, is going to require people to realize you didn't vote for this, even if you thought you did. And by the way, your tax dollar didn't pay for it either. This is 100% a machination of an oligarch group of people, a Silicon Valley broligarch. We're talking about disgusting Palantir. We're talking about all this evil that masquerades as democracy. And every time we legitimize it, there's some person that would have fought against genocide that falls off into like a coma. I mean, we need to literally break from that. I'm serious. If there's one message I can give everyone, it's not even MMT. It's literally, folks, you don't live in a motherfucking democracy.
We need to step out of the matrix. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is.
There's two universal problems that we have here. There's the more obvious glaring one, which is in the mold of Bobby Kennedy. He's not his father. He's not his uncle. Nepotism is a real thing, and it certainly landed heavily on his shoulders. And I've said before to you, I've said to Jen, and we agree that there are things that Bobby has espoused that I do agree with. But at the same time, he's not a monolith. And the biggest problems we have in this country is, on the one hand, Bobby can talk about how our food supply is completely contaminated, and I agree with him. And in the next breath, he says, we have to support Israel because that's the real problem. And I'm thinking, you throw all that credibility away. You throw it all away because you are showing that when the rubber meets the road, you are willing to be compromised. And the second you become compromised, you are again perpetuating the broken cycle that is our economic and political system. Now, that's the more obvious and glaring example. The worst example is Bernie and AOC, because people are still under this illusion that you can trust them, that they are good people. And even if deep down they are, I don't think they're nefarious and evil, but I think they're also opportunistic. And they probably she's worse than he is because he's in his twilight years. She's a youngin' and she's looking at her future opportunities. They don't understand that if there ever was a time to break free, especially forget the two-party duopoly, especially from the Democratic Party, it's right now. Now's the time.
I don't agree that they don't know, and I'm not so sure that they're not.
No, I'm saying that they do know.
I know, but I'm saying I'm not so sure that they're not nefarious, and I am so sick of giving these people the benefit of the doubt. Fuck them.
Yes,
and not just not. It's so ridiculous at this point that we still even talk about these people. So when I'm talking about is like this concept that is way outside of that. Like we are not getting anywhere with that. So what we need to start doing is building up communities a la like the antithesis of cop cities all over the country that are basically hubs for small sustainable communities, hubs for people to like have places to be. And by the way, they'll be armed and they'll be protected because it's like, this has got to be done a la Black Panther. And it's not going to happen any other way. And I am so like Bernie and AOC here. There are three types of people in this world right now. Only three. Okay. You are either nefarious and creating the problem. You're a useful idiot of those people, or you're a revolutionary. Pick a fucking team. And I am so tired of it, you know? Yeah.
You like Pink Floyd, do you not?
Of course.
How could you?
Okay. Now I'm not joking here. I mean, and I will talk about this anytime someone gives me 5 seconds to slip this in. We all should be forcibly made to listen to the album Animals daily, maybe 3 times a day, at least.
I've heard that in like since college, probably.
We need to listen to it more, and we need to listen to it more and listen to the fucking words. Really, really begin to understand. We do not live in a democracy. And I want to tell you something else that is super important, because I don't normally talk about health subjects because it's not really my bag, but it is my bag today. And you got me on a good day because this is really important. When my mom was dying last year, March 3rd, my mom passed away. But prior to that, going all the way back to Christmas that year, I had been going and seeing my mom all the time. My bosses and all let me take my laptop, and I worked in my mom's hospital room. It was a big deal. But during this time, I had severe edema, and I have severe, I mean, crippling arthritis. Okay. I gained so much weight. I got to 350 pounds. Okay. Now I used to be an athlete. Okay. 350 pounds, would roll off the couch, couldn't lift myself up. I stopped drinking diet soda, and I stopped all use of artificial sweetener. I'm not joking here. I literally don't have arthritis anymore.
It's amazing.
I'm not joking. I take shots of freaking immunosuppressants to keep the arthritis at bay. I have none. It's not there right now. Now, I don't know whether it'll come back, but I can tell you I have been without diet soda now for 7 months. I have eliminated all the fake sweeteners for that time. So there is value in understanding that our food supply is poison. Okay. There's huge value in that. Okay. But what I've also noticed, I've dropped 50 fucking pounds. Now, I'm not going to get into all my methodologies here. They're for me to know and you to find out kind of thing. But the reality is that I've lost 50 pounds and I'm moving around. I'm working. I'm doing things. I have more energy. I was falling asleep at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at work, like, oh, I'm just basking in unhealthiness. So, you know, folks, I mean, there's value in understanding our food supply isn't really food. We are not really eating food. We're eating some manufactured product, just garbage, poison. So I'm not, you know, he says things are true, but see, I used to support Ron Paul too, right? So I want to be crystal clear on this. A broke clock is right twice a day.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm not going to give Bob Kennedy a single ounce of respect. I'm not going to give him any leeway because a broke clock is occasionally right.
And
just
there,
like Rand Paul accidentally gets something right.
Well, no, I mean, I disagree. I actually think they get a number of things correct, and I still think that Ron Paul is very insightful in a lot of things he talks about. The problem with Ron Paul is that he will not get off the kick that there is a difference between federal spending and state and local spending, and that in itself is that is economic illiteracy that should not
Ron
be
Paul's
accepted.
a fascist. Ron Paul's a fascist. I mean, I love the guy. You could look at my profile pictures. I used to have 100 I still got my revolution with love in the middle shirt. I campaigned for the guy. My whole yard was filled with Ron Paul posters. I mean, I'm not coming from a standpoint that I don't know liberty. I was his guy. I love Ron Paul. He could do no wrong. But the guy straight up said, hey, you know what? We should get back to the old days in Galveston when we let the poor by gunpoint pick up the dead off the beach. This guy's a sociopath, a sick motherfucker. And I mean to tell you, when his jaw started going down, when he had like a stroke or Bell's palsy on camera, I was like, come on, you could do it. Kick it. I can't stand him. I'm so over Ron Paul, Rand Paul, and the whole LOL libertarian world. I'm just
so I have rage.
Jen, at least you know who your comrade in arms is when
I'm just done. So I really think that the idea, obviously, we know the idea, and the answer is degrowth and small sustainable communities, regenerative agriculture, and abolition and stuff like that. Like, we know, like, that's the solution. But you're right. Like, what are we going to, where are all these people that are not part of it? We need to just go around them, right?
Yes.
If you decide to join us, great. You know what? You can join us somewhere if you decide to, or when the power goes out and you're stuck in, in a blue district where you don't even know how to change your own tire and you're just kind of screwed. We need to create spaces where people can go, and it has nothing to do, like, this is not, yeah. I hear you. I'm totally out of this. Yeah, this is ridiculous at this point.
Steve, I know you have less than 15 minutes, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to get your opinion, because obviously we talk about when it comes to the issue of spending, that I wish more people would understand, as I try to explain to them as best I can, even though you and I have disagreements, is that the government prints money and then we are taxed. It is not we are taxed and then the government spends our tax money. I don't know why this still seems to be an issue that people can't seem to grasp. But for whatever reason that would be the case, we are in a situation where our spending is out of control, especially with the Pentagon more than any other place. But then Trump goes and gives this speech in Saudi Arabia the other day and takes a direct shot at all of the neocons. Now, whatever his reasoning is, it's probably personal more than anything else and political ideology. But that being said, he still went and said this the other day.
Ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
You see, they love me. I'm really an incredible person.
Not merely to condemn the past chaos of Iran's leaders, but to offer them a new path and a much better path toward a far better and more hopeful future. As I've shown repeatedly, I am willing to end past conflicts and forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world, even if our differences may be very profound, which obviously they are in the case of Iran. I have never believed in having permanent enemies. I am different than a lot of people think. I don't like permanent enemies, but sometimes you need enemies to do the job, and you have to do it right. Enemies get you motivated. In fact, some of the closest friends of the United States of America are nations we fought wars against in generations past, and now they're our friends and our allies. It's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to.
When he's calm and collected, you can see why people are drawn to him. It's easy to see it.
He just sounds like he's asking these things, not saying these things. Like he's just talking like it's no big deal, because he doesn't give a shit.
Just remember where I told you, my fountainhead starts with "We don't live in a democracy," right, so everything after that just bounces off my forehead.
I know. We watch it and it doesn't. What is the point of even?
Yeah. Well, again, everything. Well, the one thing we can all agree on is that everything with our commander in chief is strictly transactional. So if we happen to get things to our benefit, it happens to be because it is working in what he perceives to be his favor. But just making this statement, effectively saying this whole nation building neocon bullshit is ridiculous, and it is. But I think he's, again, the reason I think he's saying it is strictly because he realizes that from a financial standpoint, it's a waste. And the amount, but this is where we, as people who are supposed to be objective politically, Steve, are supposed to rally at the president and say, well, if you care so much about wasteful spending and you're so caught up with Doge and what they're doing, you could probably eliminate at least half, if not probably up to 75% of the Pentagon budget right now, because it's all waste.
Can I deal with something very quickly first?
Sure.
Stephen Martell, we know that it's a republic. We do. I mean, that argument, that was sort of we're past that. We know it's a republic. But yet, what we're saying is it's based on premise of democratic process. So it's an electoral process.
That's right.
So yes,
That's right.
Know that we're not a direct democracy. We know that. Let's stipulated, counselor. Let's move on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me speak about the neocon, Trump's speech and all this other stuff, right? Let's just be really, really fucking clear. Syria, which they're lifting sanctions on, they allowed it to be gutted and the people to be beaten and destroyed in there, and it's still going on. It was the help of fucking Israel. Let's be fair. Okay. Yep. This is not some benevolent thing. This was all part of eliminating Assad. Now, whether you think that was a good thing or not is irrelevant. Don't act like we're here to take care of all of our people, the Syrian people.
No, we're totally here for that reason.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, for real. Like, I can't get past the kayfabe of it all. I can't get past the fact that I know it's bullshit, right? It's all about manufacturing consent. I can't dump that knowledge and put on the other hat so I can, Donald Trump's really, let me tell you about his.
When you finish hearing his thing, is it important?
I can't do it. And what I think is important to see is it's not really what he's saying. It's the what consent is he trying to manufacture here? That's the real question you need to be asking yourself, because it doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter if Kim Iverson thinks Donald Trump is the greatest man ever. So let's go ahead and platform, because look at what he said. It's great. Because they're taking it seriously. They're taking it like this is a real political discourse. They're acting like we chose Donald Trump. Look what Donald Trump is doing for the people. And it's bullshit, right? And when you think about it like that, and you step back and you have a material analysis, a historical and fucking dialectical perspective on what the fuck's going on here, you realize the contradictions of every word coming out of his mouth in light of his support of the genocide of Gaza, in light of all the, why is he not lifting the damn sanctions on Cuba? Tell me why he's not lifting the sanctions on Cuba right down below, down south. He's not doing it because why? Because there's no political angle here that matches what they're trying to do. This is all part of the greater Israel project. This is all part of a much different storyline than what we're thinking of. This is about us really, really, really cementing ourselves in the Middle East, okay? And it's not about people, it's about oligarch desires. The oligarchs that are in this school of the capital order want something. The oligarchs on the other side don't want that something. Maybe they all want it. Sometimes it's the same, but it's not we the people. Nothing about this stuff. And if it happens to accidentally sound good, that's the problem. Was we hang on to these things as a, well, shit, there you go. Donald Trump is not a bad guy. Look at what a great thing he just said. But you've got to understand the modus operandi. You got to understand the motivation. What is going on here? And Donald Trump and his like blowhard, let me go ahead and dominate the conversation. Let me tell you some really, really interesting things about really interesting stories that I've got to tell you about interesting things. He's saying a whole bunch of nothing. Okay. He's saying a whole bunch of nothing. You know, people we once fought in the year of our Lord 800 BC are no longer our enemies anymore. We've now finally crossbred into their nation, and now we're all one people. Aren't we so satisfied? Whatever the hell he says. I mean, it's always some bullshit. So, you know, my anger for this comes from a larger perspective. For me, when I see this stuff, whatever he's doing, whatever he's not doing, you have no power to change. This is not about, you know, fuck your republic shit. This is not even about any kind of representative democracy. There's no element of us getting our needs met here. They're literally slashing and burning the social safety nets in this country right now. They're literally reducing the amount of money that people are getting paid in this country right now. They're eliminating the services for people in this country right now. And simultaneously giving gold cards to $5 million and you too can come to America. Buy my Trump gold card. And hey, what about those fucking the white genocide of South Africa? I mean,
we're
what
getting
the fuck?
back. There's much to discuss there. That's a whole other.
Jesus Christ.
Let's finish this up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have 1 minute. I have to go, but I want to say this before I go. Yeah. Somebody out there asked me, they said something about, you know, this petrodollar system was never built to last anyway, right? And it doesn't make a shit's bit of difference whether the USA is the petrodollar. I don't know economics, but let me talk about petrodollar, right? It doesn't matter whether that. Because Japan isn't the petro fucking dollar, but Japan has a free floating fiat currency just the same as the fucking United States. Yep. And there's no petro yen, you fucking yin yang. There is no fucking petro yen. It is literally, they have a currency that is their own. The UK has a currency, it's its own. Russia has a currency, it's its own. China has a currency, it's its own. The only thing that the dollar did was clear international transactions. But because we jumped into the mix right there after World War II as the rest of the world was bombed like Gaza, because we leveraged our currency in the Bretton Woods Accord, we were awarded extraordinary privilege of getting low-cost imports. Now what's happening is the rest of the world saying, no way, we're not going to deal with this anymore. And Trump tried one Hail Mary with the stupid ass tariff crap, and it didn't work. And China says, you know what, Donnie boy, we're going to fuck your world up if you keep doing this, because we're not backing down, because you need what we have. We don't need what you have. We don't need any more of your pieces of paper, right? And so what's going to happen? The United States is going to have to accept its role as part of the world, not the controller of the world. And that's a good thing.
I hope so. That's why
it has nothing to do. Just real quick, because I have to go, and I just want this one thing. It has nothing to do with the petrodollar. The dollar is got value because the dollar is taxed in the United States, and you have got to pay your taxes in U.S. dollars. And guess what? That piece of paper you have in your hand, that's not a dollar. A dollar is an inch or a pound. It's a unit of measure, and it's on a ledger in the Fed. It doesn't exist outside of it, and it just sits there and swirls around the banking system. You get this little piece of paper. They don't print fucking money. God, stop saying it, people. Please, I beg you to never say print money again. Because what happens is the government spends money into existence, and it taxes it out. just like they do in Japan, just like they do in China, just like they do in the UK, just like they do in Russia, just like they do in Australia, just like they do all around the fucking world. The only difference was the United States had the payment system, the SWIFT system, which is why the BRICS have a prayer, because they're going to create another payment system that doesn't allow the US to cut off their fucking assets. That is the big story right there. It's got nothing to do with the death of the dollar. It's got to do with the death of empire. And let us pray it happens like now. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sorry. I wanted to give you something good before I left out of here.
Oh, you've got to go. Thank you so much for coming. And I guess Peter's going to make me finish watching this, but that's okay.
I'll torture Jen more. You can get lost.
I'll see you guys. Hey, I want you to know how much I love you all, though. The Capitals, my Washington Capitals are playing what will probably be the last game of their season right now. And I spend my time with Yins. So
enjoy Ovi while you got him. He's one of the greatest players
brother.
of all time.
I know.
But that's the beautiful thing about hockey.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, tell Kike flying. Wow, this meathead is stomping for the Jew. Just wow. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye, babe.
Bye, Steve.
You see, guys, when a channel starts to grow, and we have been cratering close to 300 live viewers today.
But I'll block people. I don't care.
I don't need you to.
Well, you know what though? No, this is our show. This is my space. This is like coming into our house to some extent. And I don't mind debate. I don't mind different opinions. I don't mind all sorts of stuff. But vile shit, we don't need it. We really don't. I don't care. Like, yes, I'll do what I want with that. Don't even. And I have a pretty wide berth.
Give them a wide berth.
I do.
The one thing you'll learn.
You can sit there as a little Zio troll. That doesn't bother me. But when people start talking about whatever that guy was just saying, which was that's some scary stuff. I don't like that. That's just not my vibe. Sorry. And
guys, if we're at these kinds of numbers, if anybody wants to volunteer, I mean, we can control the chat as best we can, but obviously it moves a lot faster when the numbers get up. So if anybody's interested potentially being a mod, please email us at generationalchange@gmail.com. Let's finish out the Donald's commentary.
Develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love.
Can you make him go away? He hasn't said anything I need to hear. The problem with that is it's so clearly spoken by someone that has absolutely no concept of history of that region, of the culture of the people. And by the way, the people that he's speaking to are basically the fiefdom leaders of the little fiefdoms, our little vassals, our little Arabic vassal states, that they're willing to watch this happen to the Palestinians, but they can't really say anything because their people are really with the Palestinians. But those people that he's talking to about what they've done with their culture, he's talking to people that are in the last functioning monarchy. So I don't know who he's talking to, what they've done, but what's his name? Yeah, not a friend.
No, Ben Salman's not a friend. I get that, and I'm not saying that I was never implying that he was. However, what I will say is that I think, like I said, I was saying this to a friend earlier. I'm like, Donald Trump is the president of the United States for the second time in 2 non-consecutive terms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much more obvious does it need to be thrown in your face that this system is broken? This is not some public servant who spent a significant portion of his life like this guy. You know, Nixon spent his entire life in public service. People only remember him because of Watergate, but he was actually one of the most impactful presidents we ever had.
He's there because we're out of ideas. And he's there because empire is crumbling and he's basically going to be the last one standing. Now, what I do appreciate Trump is that it's all very obvious. You know, he wants to take a $400 million jet, or they're giving him some sort of resort or whatever it is. Yeah, it's all disgusting.
And honestly, this is the one aspect of him in particular that I appreciate. He has blown the entire system up into full public view. For the longest time, no one knew about these. People were aware of varying degrees of quid pro quo, but they were never exposed to it the way that they are now. And so when you hear like Chuck Schumer and Eric Swalwell and those guys say, "Oh, Adam Schiff, we're going to investigate Trump for this gift," how about we investigate you for yours?
Well, that's the problem. And look, there is no doubt that these are all corrupt and emoluments violations and all of that. All of that is true. All of that is true. And it is quite grotesque. But it's been happening forever. The only difference is now we're all just seeing it very blatantly, which I appreciate that. That's one of the things I like about Trump is he really does.
Me the candor.
And
he's accelerating it as fast as anybody ever has.
Revolution, and this I do like about it. The filthy, disgusting, corrupt stuff, like that's been forever. And if you want to go, I mean, especially in that region, like that's been going on ever since right after World War II, basically when we divided everything up and said who gets to go where, and we put our little vassals in place. Because we decided, the Western people, not we, I wasn't alive, but the Western people decided that region could not be self-governed by the brown people. It just couldn't be. It was way too big. There were too many resources, and the white people had to maintain their control of that region. And the only way to really do that was to divide it down into different parcels and make sure that the kingdoms and the kings of those parcels were part of your plan. And we're in it with you. You allow them to be the ruler of a kingdom, and they make sure to give you the really good oil prices. And it's like this, it's a very symbiotic, disgusting thing, but it has nothing to do with what he's talking about, like the actual Arabic peoples or the cultures. He wouldn't know the difference between somebody from Iran and somebody from Syria or somebody from Lebanon he has no idea. He could not care less. He could not care less.
We hope you guys are enjoying our small but mighty channel that continues to grow, and especially for those of you who are here who have contributed. S. Jera, thank you so much for the 99 cents. Super sticker. Kami John, nice to have you here. Oh, snap, it's Grumbine fun time up in here. What? Yeah, well, Steve always brings it.
We're going to need another meme at some point. We'll have to let you know. He's the one who came up with that one that you love. By the way, all my slides are gone now since I had to restart my StreamYard. So now I have to go get all my slides.
Oh, poor Jen. First world problems.
I the oligarch slide before when you guys were talking about it, and I realized all my slides are gone.
Chip, thank you so much for the $3 super sticker. It's always great to have you here. And Chip with the $5. Steve, I think I understand MFT domestically, but if we expand our money supply, how does that affect international trade if the dollar devalues relatively? Well, that's a good question. What I can tell you is that I don't even want to comment past just my basic knowledge of what our problem really boils down to, which is it's the way I describe our money printing in this country is that the money gets printed and then it's only getting into the hands of a select amount of people. And it's not trickling down as trickle-down economics is supposedly supposed to do. So collective power does not exist the way that it once did when this was a union-strong country for the better part of a generation, particularly from the days of FDR through Nixon. It was really Reagan that started the union busting. And all of the Republicans and Democrats alike have subscribed to the same austerity-like politics and the destruction of collective bargaining ever since. And so if, let's say, we've been accustomed to printing $1 trillion a year and it was spread out to the population in splits that ranged anywhere from 70-30 to 60-40, and today the splits are somewhere in the range of 85-15 to even 90-10, remember 93% of the stocks on Wall Street are owned by 10% of the
that
investors.
doesn't represent anything. Did you answer Chip's question?
I think so, but I'm just explaining it in relative terms rather than you getting all, standoffish with me. I'm trying to tell you that it is a similar construct in the sense that
I'm standoffish.
Yeah, you were. I'm just saying that.
I'm not even really paying attention. You lost me so long ago. I'm looking at other questions. I'm just trying. Somebody in the there's some new people here, so I'm kind of trying to maintain interest. But one of the questions was they don't know what we're about because they're new here.
Okay, so can we go through the super chats first? I was just trying to get up to, the paying customers need to be treated respectfully.
Okay. But
so my point is that the problem that we have is that we have a very big spending problem in this country, not because we don't have money to spend, but it's how it's being spent. And remember, we, the people, that's not a thing. Why? Because we don't get to say how our money gets spent, in case you haven't noticed. Brett Boyle, thank you for the 2 Canadian A. F the Zionazis. We agree with that. VA from NY, $10. Thank you so much, Jen. Sounds like you're reading What Is to Be Done. Is that true?
No, but I'll put it on my list. No, I'm reading Revolutionary Suicide.
Revolutionary Suicide. Kami John with the $5. Our food net is unhealthy trash. Eat the rich for your health. They probably taste good. You never know. RFK roasting on an open fire, Jen? Muscles probably have a little nice.
Not anywhere near the top. RFK is not anywhere. RFK is not anywhere near the top of my list of people that I like. Right? I don't like him, but he is. There are so many people above him on my shit list that I don't even know that I'd get to him.
The progressive lefty, always good to see you. Thank you for the $2.79 Canadian A. If you support genocide, nothing else you say matters. I would agree with that. That's true.
Well, that's how I feel. I feel like everything is done. Everything is canceled. There isn't I don't understand how people are just going on with their lives like this is normal. I can't.
Yeah, you're right about that. Kevin Pilati, thank you for the $9.99. Dearest Jen, please double check the audio input.
The only way to do it is for me to screw around with it, and I don't want to mess it up. Hold on. Does that fix it?
It sounds fine.
Well, that's the thing.
It's what sounds fine on my end, but I don't know what's necessarily being output to the audience. So, but from where I stand, it sounds okay. Chip, thank you so much for the $5. Donald Trump can't spell most of the words in that speech. You might be right about that. You never know. Tammy Elisa, thank you so much for the $4.99. You can oppose Israel and also not simp for Islam, which is probably the worst religion for women. Hijabs, burqas, FGM. Get with the program, guys. Well, we appreciate your sentiment. We believe in
I don't simp for any religion. I'm an atheist, and anybody who's been here long enough knows that.
I'm an agnostic.
I find all religion pretty much equal. Some are definitely more ridiculous than others, but to an atheist, it's all kind of just, it doesn't mean anything to me. So I don't simp for any religion. Somebody had asked what this channel is about. And I thought, if you're new here, welcome. I am Jen, that's Peter. And we started this channel with this premise of transforming politics into service. And this idea that, if only we could create a scenario where our representatives actually represent us and campaigns were used for good and everything was based out of a service, and we ran a service-based congressional campaign and we did all this stuff. And now we've transitioned 5 years later into, we're about to really have a rebrand. But what I'm about is fighting for the least of these. I'm about fighting for the least of these. I don't care about the parties. That is a waste of all our time. That serves to just keep us all divided. I don't care about the labels. I don't really have an ism. I don't fit into a box. I am fighting for the least of these. I am fighting for justice. I am based on using things like reason, history, facts, evidence. I don't care about people's feelings. I mean, one-on-one I do, interpersonally I do, but like in a grand scheme, like I don't care if something bothers people. I don't care if it hurts their feelings. I don't care if Jews are uncomfortable, you know? So I care about justice and fighting for the least of these. And what that looks like to me is living in a world where no matter what you do, you can afford to live. You can afford to live. You can live a life of dignity. You earn enough money to live a life of dignity. You have a home, you have food, your children have an education, you could take a vacation, whatever that is what I'm fighting for. So I don't do labels. I don't subscribe to any one thing. I will talk to anyone if I think it will better further my mission to fight for the least of these. That's what I'm doing. That's who I am. I don't know how to better explain it, but that's the gist.
I think you did a good job.
Okay.
I think we also, I think the whole premise of what we're trying to do here is educate as many people as possible and continue to espouse the message that is going to bring the most amount of people in based on what we're fighting for. What we are fighting for is a just world, which is a very hard thing to do. Now, Colin, this particular clip, Refugees Welcome, I don't know what this is. I didn't send it.
Is that the thing, Colin? Is that the thing I asked you to do?
It must be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, I just want to show you guys something really cool that happened. And we're gonna just play it and then we'll discuss at some point. But we're just play it, Peter. It's all
Any
good.
adjustment in life, any change takes a while to get used to. But I want you all to know that you are really welcome here and that we respect what you have had to deal with these last few years. We respect the long tradition of your people and what you have accomplished over the years. And I am sure that you will be successful. It's, as you know, a lot of you, I think, are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds, you can put them in foreign soil and they will blossom, they will bloom. And we are excited to welcome you here to our country where we think you will bloom, and we will hopefully allow you to have fulfilling lives for your children, and then we will bloom and we will benefit alongside you. Through this resettlement program for these folks who were vetted in South Africa, and we're sending a clear message that the United States.
Okay, so that sort of gave it away a little bit. So what you guys are listening to, which I think is really interesting. Exactly. I wanted you guys to hear it with a different visual. So what you're listening to is the Deputy Secretary of State, I cannot remember his name, whoever works under Rubio, welcoming the white South African refugees. And this was what he was saying to the South African refugees, which we'll get into the fact that they are in no way refugees and that this is a complete white supremacist, like ploy, tactic, part of it plan, has to do a lot of variables. They're not refugees. So we're going to continue listening to this because when I was listening to him, it sounded beautiful. It sounded like that should be playing on a speaker when people get off of their boats and get off of their planes, right? Like that's what we want to tell immigrants and people coming to this country. So let's continue because I think it applies better when we apply it to all people. So that's why
States really rejects the egregious persecution of people on the basis of race in South Africa, and we welcome these people to the United States and to a new future. Some of the criteria are making sure that refugees did not pose any challenge to our national security and that they could be assimilated easily into our country. So the president on February 7th issued an executive order about the egregious conditions in South Africa, and all of these folks who have just come in today have been carefully vetted pursuant to our refugee standards, and whether or not the broader refugee programs for other people around the world will be lifted is still an ongoing consideration. But again, the president has recognized the dire situation of this particular group of people.
Yeah. So when I was listening to him, all I kept thinking was that is how all people should be welcomed into this country. That's how everybody should be welcomed. And now people are going to want to sit here and like go after the South African thing. And we can talk about that, like, and who those people are and whether or not they're refugees. But what I would suggest is that instead of focusing on not liking that those people got in, we need to be focusing on why everyone else is kept out. Okay, like, let's not get distracted, because the key thing is to help more people, not to really spend too much time focusing on why we're willing to help white refugees from South Africa, which is total bullshit.
Well, I think that as much as people don't want to hear this, I think the biggest issue here when it comes to refugees being admitted into the country first starts with how much money they have. That's number one. And number two, it comes down to, are they able to assimilate relatively easily into American culture? And the fact of the matter is, farm owners in South Africa are going to have a very easy time assimilating into American culture. People from other countries, regardless if they're brown, it's kind of irrelevant.
You think that those people are going to assimilate better? Do you understand who they are?
Yeah, the farm, like,
they're South African, they're Afrikaners, they are from South Africa, but do you know who this particular group of people are?
My understanding is that they're all part of the farming community.
Yeah, I don't think so. And here's the other thing. They are definitely part of a bigger plan and a bigger program and what they're trying to accomplish. And a lot of this has to do has something to do with Elon Musk. I'm not entirely sure what the connection is. They are not being persecuted. They are not refugees. They are bigots that do not like the way things are in South Africa now. That's who they are. These are people in South Africa that refuse to accept that change has come there, and they want to keep living like it's, plantation days. Those are the people that got sent here. They're not refugees. They're not escaping persecution. There's no fucking white genocide in South Africa. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, let's just
a lot of stupid fucking things.
Well, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that there is a white genocide going on in South Africa. But how many of those people that say that that's going on are going to say that there's a genocide in Gaza? Probably not many.
I don't even want to.
Probably not many.
There is no persecution of white people systemically in South Africa. In fact, if you go and look at the numbers, there have been several people that have covered this today. The numbers are the majority of property still owned by white people, the majority of money still with white people, the majority of leadership positions all throughout in South Africa and in businesses, still predominantly white people. So stop it. That's absurd. However, I don't care if people want to come here. I don't care. That's my point. I don't care if they want to come here, but they're just using this to make it like they're friendly to some people that are struggling. The fuck they are. Let me tell you, in the list of people that should be given priority to get out of a bad situation, the white South Africans are not anywhere in like the top 50. Okay? I don't know where they are, but they're not up near where the Haitians are and Venezuelans and the people that are suffering because of us.
Well, Miss Commie Lefty.
No, stop. That's nothing to do with communism. Those are not.
No, I still think that a lot of it just has to do with assimilation, but that's
a stunt.
Okay, yeah, it's all everything.
Assimilating into
everything. Everything's a stunt. Everything's a stunt.
Okay, yes, everything having to do with politics and the administration is a stunt, but they're just trying to distract us with these refugees from South Africa. And I just thought it was interesting to superimpose his welcome speech on top of over the people that we should be welcoming with open arms into this country.
Makes sense. Well, those of you who can appreciate a person using his platform in a very effective way. Most of you, I'm sure, have heard of Theo Vaughn. He's a pretty noted comedian. He's a funny guy. I like him. Regular at, Rogan's events in Austin, Texas. And he's growing his own podcast and has been doing a really great job of that. Presented without comment.
Conflict that's been happening in the Middle East, people know about it. Between Israel and Palestine and some of the areas over there, the Gaza area they talk about. And I just think it feels to me, I don't know if it feels to me like it's a genocide that's happening while we're alive here in front of our lives. And I don't, sometimes I feel like I should say something. I'm not a geologist or geographer or anything like that, you know, so I don't know a lot of.
Wait, who is this again?
Theo Vaughn.
But what is he from? Because I don't understand why
you're not listening to anything I said.
No, first of all, it's very hard to hear you because we can hear all the background noise where you are. Okay, so we hear all of that.
Little that I could do about it. Guys are loud.
But that's why it isn't very easy to hear you. No, you said he's a content creator, but we want to be promoting him.
Theo Vaughn is a comedian that has a very large platform and is now speaking out against the genocide.
Okay. Oh, he's a comedian. Okay.
Some of it I do know, though. Like, I know the basics of the issues over there, but for me, it's just like how I feel like you see all these photos of people, just children, women, people, body parts, just people like putting their kids back together. And I just can't believe that we're watching that and that more isn't said about it. And so I'm not saying anyone else needs to say anything, but I think I'm just that more isn't said about it by me. So I just, I want to be able to speak up about that I think we're watching probably like, you know, one of the sickest things that's ever happened. And I'm sorry if I've kind of haven't said about it. I've tried to talk about it and learn about it. But I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to say something. I don't even know what to do.
That's how we all feel. That's the problem. That's the rage. You know, like that's the rage.
It's not even a rage in his mind. I think he's deeply broken by it because I think he's probably had somebody who's filled him in a way that he wasn't aware of. Maybe that was Gabor Mate's role that he filled. 4 million subscribers on YouTube, and he's putting this out there to them.
Good.
Theo Vaughn has interviewed plenty of big names, the biggest, of course, being Trump. Interviewed him just prior to the election, and it had a huge impact. You know, when you start, there you go. Sonny FX, Theo Vaughn interviewed Norman.
Just so you know, we've had Norman on our show too.
Yeah, we're small but mighty, as Jen.
So guys, if you're new here and you see how little we are, go back and look at some of the content we've had over the past over 4.5 years, because we've gotten a lot of we get a lot of the same guests that are on shows with way more subs than us. We just do.
By the way, you remember how I told you the other day that we were at 23,100 subscribers, and you said that I'm getting ahead of myself?
Yes.
We're at 23,600 subscribers now.
Okay.
So we're definitely.
I told you were starting to sound like Rain Man with it.
Definitely. I think every 500 to 1,000, it's okay if I chime in and just let you know that, hey, things are going okay, and we've got people here. Remember, our live stream tonight, I think, has gotten up to about 285 live stream viewers.
It really helps us a lot. And if you're new, please consider subscribing. Consider it. You could join her on YouTube. Yeah. Hi, Kumi. Welcome. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by. We're fighting a good fight over here. Trying to.
This is still one of the problems that we're dealing with when it comes to the language and what people understand and don't understand. What I would implore Tammy and anybody else to understand, even though there are bad elements in every religion.
Judaism is plenty misogynistic, I got to tell you.
Extremely.
Go look at the interview we did with Dr. Sarah Glass about the book that she wrote growing up, and she grew up in a Hasidic sect in Brooklyn. There's plenty of misogyny to go around in all of it.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but have you ever been to a mosque and experienced what it's like being with their people?
That's so Gail of you to say, well, have you been?
Well, you've never been?
You haven't been. Well, no, even Gail King, like about going to space. Well, you haven't. Have you been? No, we have not been.
Well, before we continue our clip with the wonderful Theo Vaughn, Truth Bearer couldn't have said it better. You guys like to viewer ratio is amazing, means your message is massively popular when not throttled. Well, we are definitely a throttle channel. And for those of you who are new and wondering how did we become such a throttle channel, well, there were numerous instances along the way since we started it, but one in particular obviously took the cake. Jen, would you care to comment?
Wait, what are we talking about now? I'm too busy getting frustrated with some of the stuff in the chat. We need a mod, because I'm telling you right now, I'm putting this out there so seriously, you're getting ready to get into a timeout. You're not playing nice. So seriously, play nice. All right, what were you saying?
So what was the incident that we partook in that basically shadow banned our channel?
When we first started, I wanted to do an Assange-a-thon. So we did like a full day live stream with different panels for freeing Julian Assange. So
yeah, you can see how well that worked out for us.
That didn't go over very well with the
No, definitely not. But you know what? As Jen and I have always said, we wouldn't do it any other way. So let's finish it up.
You know, and it's crazy because our country's also complicit in it. You know, it's in it and has been for a long time. And it's just kind of interesting because then you just realize, oh, well, I'm a member of this country, but I'm just, what we want sometimes doesn't matter, you know, and you just have to be a member of a place and your government is making other choices.
All right, stop for a second, because I don't want to let this.
I don't know if I said that correctly or.
Stop for a second. Do you know what this is? Because I know what it is. Do you know what NAMBLA is?
Of course I do.
Okay.
Do we have to explain it?
Well, I don't need. I was just going to make sure you understood, but I don't.
Okay, guys. So for those of you who don't know, let me take it because I'm the guy here. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what NAMBLA is, and this is something that has been talked about for a long time, although for those of you adolescent-minded adults like myself, if you've ever seen Cartman Loves NAMBLA episode of South Park, that's probably one of the best.
Your entire life's education is from South Park.
Hey, South Park is a great testament to American culture, baby.
I learned about NAMBLA in law school, actually.
So NAMBLA is the North American Man-Boy Love Association.
Yeah.
Man-Boy Love Association.
And basically it's an association where they completely condone adult men having sexual relationships with children, with boys. And they don't just condone it, they celebrate it. So there are people that are NAMBLA members. Like that's actually an organization, because I remember the first time I saw that and I thought it was a joke. No, it's not. It's very real. It's a real thing. How is that legal, you ask? Free association, but yet we can't talk about Palestine.
So, but here's what I have to. But here's what I have to tell you about South Park and why that was a great episode. So, Cartman joins the organization because he's trying to make a more mature friends because he thinks he's smart and all that, blah blah blah. But there's a part where they're at this convention center and there's more than one NAMBLA event going on there. No, hold on. The other NAMBLA event was the North American Marlon Brando Lookalike Association.
Oh my God. I'll give you that's pretty funny mix up.
Oh, how many people come here one person? I'm telling you, you would have liked that. But that's how you make it funny, because it's a terrible topic to have to address and talk about. At the same time, humor is able to help people get through that. Yeah, how dreaming is correct. How the frick did we even get onto this topic in the first? Oh, APAC equals NAMBLA. That's right, because you had to highlight that, Jen. So thanks a lot. Really,
I want to know what it was. I think it's relevant, and I kind of appreciate the analogy.
Fair enough.
I don't even know exactly what I said, but I just have it's just like been making me really sick, and I feel like I just needed to say something that I think you don't have to think that. I'm not asking you to do anything, but I just have to say that so I'm not sitting by, there's that piece inside of me like, why wouldn't you, can you say something? There's people that can't even speak and you can say something, and so that's how I just had to just speak up. Anyway, I think maybe it started to make it about me there at the end, but yeah. So just praying for those people and just the grief that is all going to cause. Just like, what are we doing? But, and I know that this has happened to other ethnicities and other cultures. I know that it's happening to other places too. I just don't see that as much. And so.
That's the one mistake the one and only mistake that Vaughn made in that statement. So what ends up happening in many instances, and this is one of the ways that genocide gets justified, is this idea of, well, do you care about the genocide that's happening in Yemen or yes, of course we do.
Go back to one of our, and we started talking about the genocide in Yemen in our first shows, because that's been happening since 2014. So we've been talking about it pretty continuously. Actually, that's resolved itself. That sort of started to resolve itself because the Houthis and the Saudis ended up coming to some sort of like trucey situation in there. But now we're just bombing the Yemeni, or we were. I know that supposedly we've stopped. And those are my favorite people at this point. Like, I actually would like to say, I want whatever our taxes would be here, I want to actually physically send that to the Yemeni. I want my tax dollars to go to Yemen. That's what I want, because they're the only country that's not in violation of international law regarding this genocide. So I just feel like I'd rather support them.
The other thing that you have to remember, which is crystal clear here with everything that's going on, is the argument can never be made regarding other countries and other activities going on, regardless if they're genocides or not. The Israel lobby controls our political and economic system. And so as a result, we do not actually have a current say in whether or not we can disengage. We want to disengage, and many other countries do disengage. But in our case, it's like if they go, we go. And it seems to me from an objective place, and we said this with our guest, Clint Russell, on Monday, there is a fight that happens with the populist right that doesn't happen with the populist left. When the populist right decides that they're going to fight for an issue, they're going to fight for it. And it does seem that there is a substantial portion of them, especially those that bend to the libertarian side of politics, that they are done with covering for Israel, that this has reached a point of no return. And that's a great thing to see, because they are going to stop it. That's why people like Theo Vaughn are using a 4 million plus platform to say that the genocide in Gaza has to end. And this is unacceptable.
It's going the route of what happened with South Africa in terms of eventually they'll be economically beat into compliance to some extent by the rest of the world and not wanting to be pariahs. As it is, they already know that they are. That's why that the IOF soldiers turn their heads and their pictures are now the backs of their heads, because they know that they don't care. They don't care. Like, that's what's so interesting about this. There's this, I was listening, if you guys have not heard or listened to Gideon Levy, who is a journalist for Haaretz in Israel, he is like the only, I would think, functional, normal journalist that I know of that's in Israel. But, you know, he describes the people there, just the general citizenry, like, for the most part, yeah, there's a whole bunch of them that hate Netanyahu. That is true. And they want to get their hostages back. That is true too. But as far as their perception of what's going on in Gaza, their perception of the West Bank, of Palestinians in general, they really don't care. They don't care. They don't think of them as people. It doesn't really bother them. They just don't care. In fact, for the most part, prior to October 7th, most of them never even thought about it. It's just not something that they care about. And that is what people need to understand. This is an entire culture that has completely been brainwashed and propagandized to the point where I don't think they're redeemable. I'm at the point, like, Israel is just, they can't coexist on this planet with everyone else. They're just not capable. You know, just some people are just not capable of playing nicely. They're just not. So as they become more and more outcast and more pariahs of the world, they will eventually cease. It will be like what happened in South Africa. They will be forced into a compliance. The problem is the amount of collateral damage between now and then. And I've been saying this now for about 18 months, that I don't see how this ends other than 2.2 million dead people in a desert.
Yep.
And we are now watching the Holocaust, the final solution, and we're watching it live stream. We really are in the Hunger Games. All I need is Stanley Tucci with his Caesar Flickerman outfit and horrible veneers to be like emceeing this shit, because that's what it looks like to me. Gaza looks like the Hunger Games. That's what that looks like. I'm never getting over this. Like, I'm never going to be okay again about that. Like, there is no, I don't know how we can redeem ourselves as humans after this.
This was the one clip that I wanted to play last show, and we're going to, kind of wind things down with this clip. But this is going to give you guys an idea of also the power of the organizations that we've been talking about that everyone should be trying to collaborate with, and that includes CodePink and the efforts that they have put together. Well, remember the head of the UN that was raising her hand constantly, always in favor of Israel, every other nation on earth saying no, but yes every time. Well, this is Linda Thomas, and she was confronted the other day. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm not putting up anything to interrupt you or ask questions. Go ahead.
Attacks in Gaza before October 7th.
I'm sorry.
There
you
were
know what?
Hey, Linda. What about the children of Gaza, Linda? If you care about people, tens of thousands of children in Gaza have been massacred, Linda.
Who would possibly be booing, Jen?
Whoever they pay to sit in the back, operatives, Dem operatives, a handful of elitist white Zios, but I mean, mostly
You mean like these two old ladies sitting right there?
I don't know that they're the ones booing, but I will tell you, I watched this for a while, and there's a whole bunch of plants that do stand up in the audience. So there's a lot more protesters that are there than actually booers.
The thing that is so ironic about this particular image is that for anybody who doesn't know, and this is where our good friends John Nichols of The Nation and Harvey K of University of Wisconsin Green Bay,
cheese heads here.
Robert La Follette. Does anybody know who that man is? That man was the most successful socialist politically that this country's ever seen. And this is being done.
But I do see that they're in Madison.
Mm-hmm. But this is the speech that's being given in the presence of a man who would have 1,000% been on the sides of these people saying free Palestine.
Good. But there's
three ceasefire resolutions. Three ceasefire resolutions were vetoed by you as the Israeli regime was pouring 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs on schools and hospitals.
Thank you so much.
Tens of thousands of children have been massacred in Gaza.
Yeah, we appreciate your sentiment.
The Israeli regime calls Palestinian children animals and subhuman animals.
You appreciate the sentiment when somebody's like saying to congratulate you for something. I appreciate the sentiment. You appreciate the sentiment that they're standing up against a genocide. This is why I don't go to these things, and I'm going to end up getting in trouble. Like, that's the thing. I'll be at one, and I'm going to lose my shit. That bitch voted against the ceasefire 3 times. And let's be clear, whoever sits in that position would have done the same thing. It's not like it's her personally. That's what we need to remember. She's just a tool.
Tool for a lot of money and power.
We're here to hear from you, Ambassador.
You are spineless power, Linda. You are spineless. You are a puppet for Zionist imperialism. You're a puppet for Western imperialism. You're a puppet for genocide. That's what you are, Linda. That's what you are. We don't know it. You are slaves. You are all implicit in genocide. You are genocidal police. You are in the Hague. You allow tens of thousands of children to be massacred. Why did you allow my friends and family in Gaza to be massacred? You are free. You are free. We wake up every day to tens of thousands of pictures of shredded Palestinian babies. You are mother.
Your views are really important, but you have to be able to listen as
7 Sacraments, that Debbie is a friendly troll. I think I know who it is. Don't worry about the Debbie in the chat, guys. That's a friendly troll. It's somebody who I think is just playing with us. Anyway, continue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
well to others. The suffering that is taking place in Gaza right now, no one, not me,
It's your
not
fault,
anyone
Linda.
in
Why
this
did you
room.
veto the ceasefire agreement 3 times?
What is the cause of the suffering in Gaza? I'm
The
listening.
cause of the suffering in Gaza was initiated, and I'm going to be very, very honest with you.
Oh, really?
On October 7th, there were no attacks in Gaza before October 7th.
So that is the lie to end all lies.
I want to jump out of my skin. See, now this is where when we have the new graphic, but the rage-o-meter is going to have to come out because the rage that I feel. So there's been nothing in Gaza since before October 7th. Oh my God.
There were no attacks on Gaza before October 7th. Could you imagine being a black woman who lived through the civil rights era and is sitting up there saying that shit?
No. And the thing is that we're not allowed to say what I really want to say. We need to.
If Mo was here,
or she'd say something. Reference. Let me just forward people to Tim Black on how to talk about this.
And what I will say, which I think is actually a very good transition and very good of your fellow tribes member, Kat, and agree to bring this up, Jen.
Yes.
What happened 77 years ago on this day?
Okay, so guys, for people who do not know, May 15th is considered Nakba Day. And I need to preface this with May 14th, which also happens to be my birthday, is Israel Independence Day. So I grew up sharing my birthday with Israel Independence Day. So of course, while I'm simultaneously celebrating my birthday, it's the worst day in the whole world for Palestinians the day after that, right? Because that's when their whole freaking world fell apart. But so the 15th is recognized as Nakba Day, and it really is to I can't even say commemorate because we're still in it. It hasn't stopped. There is no PTSD. There's no P. There's just TSD. So the Nakba, for people who do not, if anybody in our channel doesn't know what the Nakba is when the Zionists expelled 700 or massacred 750,000 Palestinians in May of 48. Actually, it started really earlier than that, but May 14th was the day that Israel declared its independence as a state, even though it was in violation at the time of the UN in any event. So the 15th is Nakba Day. And that's what I don't even, it's not even a post. We're still Nakba. How can we say, it hasn't stopped. It just hasn't stopped.
Let's finish it up.
In Gaza before October 7th.
I'm sorry, do you
You're
know
a
what
liar.
the Nakba is?
You're a liar.
Do you know what the Nakba is?
I do.
You are a liar.
1948. How would you describe what the Nakba is? In your own words,
In
I would like to hear your
1948, I
response.
wasn't there, and neither were you, and
Neither
we
was
all
I.
know what happened.
But you know
We
what?
know what
One
happened.
genocide does not justify another.
What do we know happened? Because that woman in the audience took it as one genocide doesn't justify another. True. Very true. But that's implying that what happened in 1948 had to do with the Holocaust against the Jewish people, and that's what happened. And so therefore, that's what justifies the existence of the state of Israel. And that's just not true. But that's a woman who, and I saw the comment that I wanted to see in here that I'm not able to say. Somebody in here actually said it, that I was going to put it up there. There was a good comment in there. Here it is. I didn't say it. But yeah, it's infuriating.
Well, they've been using that as a crutch for a very long time, but it's not going to work anymore. They're running out of real estate, which is why, for those of you who, again, are here, we have lots of great guests. It was great to have Steve on in an abbreviated version, never mows the lawn. Exactly.
And that doesn't even include the big operations.
Now,
That's monthly population maintenance.
Now, if you want to talk about why you want to tune into our channel, coming up on Monday, we will have a guest that will be able to speak freely about I'm not going to say a derogatory word, but members of the Black community that are impeding any type of progress that needs to be made in terms of liberation. And that person is Jay Buffon of the Revolutionary Blackout Network. And we can thank our friend Sappy Sabs for organizing and making this happen. So we're looking forward to speaking with Jay. And then we're going to have a very interesting conversation next Thursday. I believe Nomiki Konst is going to be coming back to our podcast, and she is going to share with us some real insight. Whether it's because she has an axe to grind, it probably is the case.
And I will be asking her about dating Bill de Blasio.
Yeah, that'll be a fun conversation. But the more fun part about it is that she has some very distinct insider knowledge about David Hogue and what he was planning as vice chair. Now, that doesn't mean that there are any good people involved with why David Hogue was just excommunicated from the DNC, but he was planning his own, consultancy type of operation himself. And Nomiki's going to share that insight. But the reason we do the things that we do is that we can cover these very important stories that are going on a regular basis. Needless to say,
we are twice a week. Like, just let's, you know, I
Yes.
feel like we take it for granted. So people, if you're new here, we do live streams on Monday and Thursday evenings at 7:00. We were late tonight. We had technical problems, but we are Monday and Thursday at 7. And feel free to check. I mean, we have so many different clips and things that go up. So if you don't catch us on the live, you're not really missing anything.
Now, one thing you have to remember is that very often in politics, when somebody is willing to do certain things for their own career, and we don't know Mickey's career
Here's the
opportunities.
thing, all for one. How do you know they're lying? How do you know they're lying?
Their
How do
lips
you
are moving.
Their lips are moving. Absolutely.
And so here's the thing you have to remember, but never get in the way. This is why a lot of times what we say in politics is let them fight. If she has the goods, which I have no doubt that she does, on David Hogan, what was really going on, keep in mind, there are a lot of people out there that are being very sympathetic in many ways for David Hogue, and they shouldn't be. Like, there's no reason for it.
No, that's another one of those things where both things are true, right? Like the way that they're ousting him is totally par for the course for Democrats. They're not Democratic. They don't care. They're going to do whatever they want to do. It's perfect. So the fact that they're treating him that way is disgusting, but yet expected. The fact that he is also not one of the good guys on our team, also true.
Yes.
So this is one of those things where there is really no good guys, and yet I still like that the Democrats are exposing themselves for the non-democratic pieces of shit that they are.
And the other thing that you have to remember is what we're trying to do is just show the underbelly of the entire system. And the thing that we will discuss with Nomiki is because she is still under the illusion or delusion, if you want to call it that the Democratic Party can be saved. It can't. It can't. It's reached its expiration date. Now we just have to figure out what's going on.
In that, like every guest that we have on this show, and we have I'll talk to pretty much anybody as long as they're respectful. That doesn't mean I agree with them, and it doesn't mean I'm promoting them. It just means we're having a conversation, because at the end of the day, that's the only way we're going to keep building bigger and bigger coalitions. Is even though, let's say, I don't necessarily believe what somebody is saying, that doesn't mean that they're not going to bring somebody on this platform that then won't see what we're talking about and appreciate what we're saying. And now we've cross-pollinated. So we don't have to agree with somebody. But yeah, we'll ask her what she's up to. I mean, and again, anybody involved in politics at the level that she is, yeah, let's be real. There's a reason that people like that are in it. It's they like that life.
The devil is speaking.
Oh, it's so funny. I know. People, this is a friendly troll.
If you guys are so inclined, we really appreciate you all being here. Smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed, because people get unsubscribed. Make sure that you share. Click the bell.
Yes.
If you are so inclined, we obviously always appreciate anyone who is willing to go to patreon.com and become a subscriber, or you could become a YouTube member. And of course, we appreciate our wonderful patrons, as well as our YouTube members, and of course, our super chat providers. And that, of course, includes Brett Boyle. You guys and Dimitri Lascaris are my favorites. Thank you so much for the 2 Canadian A.
And you know, he's in Iran right now, which is really cool. So I've been enjoying his reporting from there. It's been really interesting.
Mark J, thank you for the $2. Thank you for your work and time, Jen and Peter. Mark, you make our life easier every time you contribute. We really appreciate it. And of course, our good friend, the Progressive Lefty, thank you for the $6.99 Canadian A. I've been reposting memories on my Facebook from years ago showing the genocide has been going on for a long time. And our media has been lying. You're damn right they have. It's been a lie for many, many years. That's not changed. It is on us to remind people, just as Linda Thomas wants to lie to the American people, that everything started on October 7th. No, it started 75 years ago.
Gaza was not invaded before that.
And on top of everything else.
Do you even know what Gaza is? What do you mean it was invaded, that it wasn't occupied? Then why doesn't it have, I don't know, freedom of movement? Why doesn't it have an airport? Why doesn't it have like a marina? Why are they stuck in a cage then?
You see, guys, again, when our channel grows, we get Fat Bichon, another troll. I'm telling you, just embrace the trolling.
But that doesn't bother me because that's just stupid. I don't even know that's
well, no. What I say
could be sarcastic. It's hard to
no,
tell.
my attitude about trolls is very simple. You can troll us. You can say whatever you want to us. If you harass people in the chat, you will get kicked out.
Well, there's certain lines. There's certain people when you're going to use a certain mouth. I am a mom, right? Now, what my son will tell you is you don't want the squishy face. The squishy face. You open a fresh mouth to me, you're going to get the squishy face. You don't want the squishy face. You're going to get the equivalent of the squishy face. I don't want to see disgusting shit. Again, I don't do this for a living. I am not a public forum. This is basically like my living room, and I'm not going to have somebody being gross in my living room. Now, good discourse, all fine. Also, if somebody's disrespectful about our guests, bye-bye. I don't care if you agree with them. I don't care, whatever. You cannot be disrespectful. You can comment. You can ask questions. You can be challenging. But if I think you're being rude or disrespectful, bye-bye.
Certainly is easy enough for people to understand that concept, yes. So I think the best way to close out our show this evening is from a sweet little clip from Miss Rachel.
Share the doll. I got Raha from Gaza. This is her, and she has prosthetics like Rahaf. And I found this outfit that she can put on her. I hope she likes her. Meeting Rahaf has changed my life forever, and I just love and adore her. Thank you for giving me this platform. I will always use it to stand up for kids.
We love you, Miss Rachel.
If you're a Zionist in this country right now, you better start thinking about getting the hell out of here, because I'm telling you, it's all coming back to you. All of it.
I am telling you, I think I'm needing to rock a bit Miss Rachel headband. Did you see that? Okay, and I am not a Drew Barrymore fan. I am not. I don't like her. I think she's elitist and pretentious and all this stuff. But I did happen to catch a clip of Miss Rachel on her show, and she gifted Drew the pink pink headband like Miss Rachel. And I kind of
got to get one for yourself.
And I don't know anything about Miss Rachel other than kids really like her and the Zios hate her. So that makes her my peeps.
Good enough for me. Big Dumb Animal, thank you for the $4.99. Have you been following Black Liberation Media's 100 Years of Malcolm X? It's been amazing.
Watched it yet. But I do watch that channel. So I will make it's on my things that I will watch. But thank you. Malcolm's birthday next week.
You guys are all great. We appreciate all of you. Travers, LP Films, Steve, Karen Murphy, Rofi, Big Dumb Animal, Brett Boyle, Mark J, Aggressive Lefty. I can name all of you guys. Cat Negrita, Shunt Guy, Wanker Tanker.
Wanker Tanker, if you hadn't heard of Miss Rachel until now, go and make sure that you subscribe to her stuff if you are wanting to stand up against genocide, because she's been taking a lot of crap and getting a lot of hate and a lot of threats and from like some really big money people. And so Miss Rachel needs love and support.
Sozo Al, I think you're new, and we really appreciate you being here. We appreciate all of you being here. And it's been a very successful live stream this evening. Like I said, we're definitely growing, and we are definitely appreciative for all of you being here. We've got some really good clips coming out, more conversations that you're going to really enjoy. I am in Southern California. I'm actually heading to an event right now for business, but I will tell you, check out the Richard Nixon Presidential Library if you're ever in the Los Angeles area.
Peter likes all the presidential library. He goes to all the presidential. That's what you do. Everywhere you go to if there's a presidential library.
Well, it's a very nice library. You would like.
You notice, like, whenever you go somewhere where there's a presidential library, you go to it. You have like.
Well, they actually
parks.
Well, they actually built the library adjacent to his childhood home that was built in 1908, which is kind of amazing. It's the typical type of bungalow style home that was built at that time. But most of the stuff that's inside is over 100 years old. I mean, most of it's originals, like the high chairs and all that, beds, rooms, and a lot more of an appreciation for more intimate space. So.
Somebody in the chat before asked if we're married. No, we're not married.
We're married politically.
We're work married.
Yes, for sure. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We love you all. We'll see you Monday.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.